I believe we are now live. It is December 21st at 10 a.m., which means it's time for Magnetism, Machines, and Mayhem, hosted by Tony and Greg. And we have a special guest, SOBA, from a whole bunch of different places. I'm not exactly sure where he's representing now.
Yo, where's my cat, man?
Oh, it won't go on your screen.
Welcome to Reinventing the Tattoo, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all welcome to join into these live streams, to watch the replays, ultimately to create better art and tattoos together. You could find Reinventing the Tattoo on either of the app stores, on YouTube, on the Roku, where we've got 15 channels of tattoo programming going on at any given moment, including drunk critique against our better judgment. You could find the replays of the audio on all of the major podcast directories. So if you have to play something for your tattoo shop, these are awesome to play in the background. You can always find the latest and greatest at reinventingthetattoo.com. You could check out Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Canon, probably the most comprehensive online course that exists for tattooing. He's got not only the old book and all the videos, he's got new videos coming out because he's got a new video editor, as well as I think it's like 2 years now of exercises that happen every Monday at 9 o'clock. So there are free samples to try out if you go to reinventingthetattoo.com. Then we've got a whole mess of shows like this that are open to the free and open to the public. Sundays, we have Reinventing Drawing Group with Jason Lisa at 1 o'clock. Mondays are our big days. 9 a.m. is a drawing for tattooers with James Wisdom. At 11 a.m. Monday, these are all Eastern Standard. We've got the Tattoo Weekly. Robbie Rapole has Let's Talk Feelings at 5 o'clock on Mondays. This is every week. And then 9 o'clock is the Reinventing Subscribers exercises on Mondays. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. we've got a drawing group with Ricardo Sturvenant. Wednesdays we have the Tattoo Now business and interview show at 1 o'clock. Thursdays at 6 p.m. is the Tattoo Collecting podcast, and Derb's been hopping on doing some trivia for some tattoo trivia during the Tattoo Collecting podcast. In any event, you can find out the schedule of all of those shows right at the homepage of tattoonow.com. And yeah, I'm going to hop in the background here because I'm excited to tune into this one. Let me see. I know that SOBA's been to a couple of our events, and when I'm following up, it does like not only the machines, but all this crazy mechanical art. It's really cool. But I'm not qualified to talk, so I'm going to pass you along to Tony and Greg. Cheers, everybody. Thank you. Let us know if this is working in the chat room. Let us know where you're beaming in from. Maybe tag somebody that's interested in tattoos, or definitely anybody interested in tattoo machines. And okay, I'm out.
Bye, Gabe. Thank you. That was quick and sweet.
Peace, yo.
He said something right off the bat. I'm Tony Urbanik. I'm the host of Machines, Magnetism, and Mayhem with my co-host, Greg DiGiacinto.
Hey, you got it right.
We're supposed to meet every month. Sometimes we don't, depending on how busy we are, and cut it up with
got shit to do sometimes.
Stuff to do sometimes, and talk about machines, tattoo machines, obviously. And what I was alluding to earlier was Gabe said something about SOBA building mechanical art, and
that's right.
Mechanical. I know you built mechanical machines, but this mechanical art thing piqued my interest. Not to segue out of an intro, but let's just jump in, man.
Jump in. Well, it's kinetic. Anything that moves, you know, like the mechanisms of a tattoo machine. Well, the whole. Sorry. All right. It's metalsmithing, and I do like little automatons kind of thing, you know, where you turn the crank and they move and stuff like that. I haven't done any recently, but I'm working on some. But what do you say?
I said no. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So I just when I was making machines, I took a jewelry class to kind of learn more about how to make tattoo machines look cool. Like take some maybe jewelry aspects and some skills and stuff and apply those to the machines, right? And I ended up just what happened? Ooh. What's that?
We are showcasing your coolness right here.
I'm screen sharing here for you.
Oh, tight. I was like, did I just get kicked off already?
We have the technology.
I don't know. There might not be a lot. I don't know. You might have to scroll pretty far down to find any of what I'm talking about. But yeah, just they're like little
There he is.
interactive pieces, you know, that do more than just you just look at them. You know, that's why I started doing all of the little sculpts and hiding them around town and shit like that, just to make it a little more interactive and fun, you know.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So yeah, anybody who's tuning in right now or anybody who tunes in later, our guest is BJ Johnson, SOBA, aka SOBA 1.
Yep.
If you don't know who he is, you better go look it up.
Yep.
I know for me, I've been following him since the beginning of my career, so it's an honor to sit here, and I'm still kind of blown away that
Yeah.
you did.
Well, thank you, man.
It's an honor to
Very
have
welcome.
you here.
Appreciate that.
Super influential tattoo machine builder from my perspective, and irreplaceable as far as like a machine builder with, you know, when you think about the you know, early 2000s, absolutely irreplaceable as a machine builder and a staple in the tattoo machine building scene.
That was such a crazy time. You know, we don't get to see too many, I don't know what you would even call them, but you know, times like that when things really shift and blow up and change, and you know, I was really lucky to be there when that all happened, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely one of the pioneers of the shift, man. That's for sure. There's three names that come to mind, and you were definitely top of the list.
Thank you, man.
Change the perspective on things, which is really cool. I mean, you modernized what we were doing. You know,
It was just a different perspective, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of my greatest assets in coming into it was my ignorance, to be honest with you. You know, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to do certain things. I definitely got corrected along the way, but you know, coming into it from not really knowing and just being giddy and, like you said, nerdy, man, it was just how it worked out. It was awesome.
how did you fall into it? Like, how did you start getting into building machines? Like, you started out as a graffiti artist, you were telling me.
Yup. So I was fucking with graffiti way back in the day. And of all of our little crew or whatever, I was the only one that could draw and stuff. And so when it came time for us to start getting tattooed, I was drawing all the tattoos for me and my buddies and stuff, you know, and taking them to the tattoo shop. And the guy was like, wow, these are great. You know, you ever think about doing tattoos? And I was like, no, not really. But why? Would that be cool? Like, you know, and so then I started like seeing, like, we didn't have very many tattoos. It was real super, you know, random. Like, hey, let's go get a tattoo, whatever, you know? So yeah, I got interested in it and got into it. And I was always making stuff anyway. Like when I was a skater back in the day, I wanted to make my own deck, you know, like, and I did not a good one, but you know, I just reverse engineering shit, figuring out how it works, and then wanting to create it for myself. So when I got into tattooing, the machine was just this crazy thing, you know, like, you remember the first time you ever saw one and realized what it did and how it did it? You're like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So it was that, and then down the hole, you know.
Yeah.
It grabs you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're geared that way,
The mechanical mind. So when you were growing up, did you always tear things apart and put it back together? Yeah.
Absolutely. Always. Like anything that wasn't working right, fuck it, man. I was taking apart, you know, boom boxes, tape cassettes, you know, video game cartridges, whatever the fuck it was. And it wasn't like I was doing anything with it. I just had to tear it apart, see what was in there, you know? Yeah. Always, yeah.
Analytical, mechanical mind at work.
And just that curiosity, you know, like, wow, why does that do that? Who the fuck thought of that? You know, like things were just interesting and, you know, new.
That's a cool frame. So who did you start tattooing with? Were you apprentice? Were you self-taught? And that being said, also, second part of my question is, where did you learn to build machines? Were you self-taught? Did you have any mentors? And real quick, you're in Grand Rapids now. Were you always in Grand Rapids?
Yeah, I've been here the whole time.
Okay. So all right.
West Michigan the whole time, man. Yeah, I'm not much of a traveler. I don't get out much. I don't do shows very often just because I don't like to travel much.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I just pretty much been in Grand Rapids the whole time.
Okay.
That was the guy that we just ended up getting tattoos from was the guy that would apprentice me. It was a real quick crash course. And with a lot of misinformation. It only lasted about 6 months before he just took off. So there was 4 guys. It was me as the apprentice, and then the piercer as the apprentice, and then the other 2 tattooers. And they both left at the same time. So both apprentices just kind of had the shop. It wasn't a shop. It was a couple rooms in a head shop upstairs. But it was just in our lap. So we just had to figure it out, you know. So that's when the self-taught began. Like, I was introduced to it. I was shown the importance of sterilization. I was shown the importance of not cross-contaminating shit. You know, like the basics of needle configurations, what a mag was, what a liner was, you know, the difference in the pigments and stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't like completely blind. I had some real solid basics. But after he left, then it was just me trying to figure it out. So that's when I started to try to go to conventions and take a ton of seminars. There was one in Detroit. There's one at the Motor City show every year. There used to be a ton of really, really good seminars, and they go every year and take a handful.
Like who? Like Juan Puente? I know he was doing them back then. Jerry Rieger was doing them back then.
Well, I did one with Jack Rudy. I did one with Lau Tuttle. I did the guy from Time Machine.
Dennis.
I forgot his name.
Dennis Dwyer?
No. Anyway, the guy from fucking Time Machine. And
No. He's up with it.
And then a lot like different tattoo, you know, art style stuff. Like, I don't think Guy ever did them. I don't remember. I don't know. It's been a long, long time.
Yeah, we won't hold it against you. Or whatever.
Fowler, D. Fowler from Time Machines.
Yeah. Yep. Name Fowler. Yeah.
Oh my God, we're all going to hell.
Seriously,
I said Danny Fowler.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that just
I mean, it's like it's easy to get it mixed up with Dennis Dwyer, though.
I said Dennis Dwyer. That's why I just kind of had a senior moment there, I guess.
But you know, I didn't come into it with already knowing that there was a history. So like when I was attracted to the tattoo machines, you know, I just thought companies made them, just like cars. Like, I didn't think that a tattoo machine was any different than a car. You know, it was made by a big factory by a bunch of different people. It wasn't a personality thing at all. it was the equipment, right? So when I started getting into it, like I do everything else, and then I did go to that Motor City show, and I learned real fast that it was a thing. You know,
Yeah.
I knew absolutely nothing about that thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I started kind of paying attention to the people that came before that was actual individuals, you know? Yeah.
At that time, like, how many tattoo machine suppliers do you think were making?
So when I got into it, there was Papillon, that was with the tubes and the ink. There was obviously Spalding, but everybody was kind of hating on them at the time. National, obviously, I had to get a reference to get into National. United, I think, was out there still. So yeah, that was about it for me. Icon was just popping up when I got into it. So we had those technical papers with the needles, and that's kind of how I learned needle configurations and
Machine Gun Magazine started right around there.
What was huge was that around that time, Jack Mosier was going over and getting Mickey Sharp's machines and bringing them back to West Michigan and selling them. And that was the first time. And, you know, there was a group over at Magnum that were really into traveling and doing big tattoo stuff. And Jack Mosier was the one that started that shit. So actually, really soon into my tattoo career, I got a T-dial and a microdial from Jack Mosier that he brought over. One of the last probably real good ones, you know, in that time. And that's when I was like, holy shit, there's a difference between this Swinggate kit that I had put together and this fucking T-dial. And I was like, wow, you know, so then I started to really go down that path, you know, after that.
Was there any individuals that were, you know, making custom stuff? Like, I know, you know, maybe like Scott Sterling and
I didn't know any of them
making some custom stuff, but was there any other, you know, I know that like Mickey Sharp's was like the top, Like if you had a Mickey Sharps, you might as well have had like a lightsaber. You know?
Yeah, that was the professional tool. Like that was the, like, if you're serious about doing tattoos, like those are the machines that are going to get you there, you know.
In 2001, 2002, I remember that. I got my first Mickey Sharps. I ran into Creeper at a New York City convention, and he tattooed my ex-girlfriend at the time, and he was using the frameless, the Posiliner. I don't know if you ever seen that. It was never offered in the catalog. And I was like, whoa, dude, what is that? It's just like, because I was just putting together those little national kits, like the Jonesy kits and the Eagle, the flyweights. And I saw that thing and I was like, what is this, dude? This is rad. And he hit me to Mickey Sharps. And he said, you have to call that guy. I've told this story before, Greg. You have to call overseas, and you had to go to a bank, transfer your money into British pounds, fill out the paperwork and send it. And it'd take like 2-3 weeks to get back to you. But this one wasn't a catalog. It's called a Posiliner. I don't know if you've ever seen one. They're like pretty rare.
I think you've showed me one before. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have one. I actually traded mine to John Chance for a tattoo, but then I bought another one off of Skyver years later.
Yeah.
Of course, Skyver has one.
Of course. Of course. What did you start building on? Like, you know, like did you start with like a national kit or a Spalding kit, or?
And I, again, in that real quick apprenticeship, he was like, you're going to order kits and you're going to put them together, and I'm not going to tell you shit. You know, it was real, like, look at this one that was finished. Here's a big bag of parts, figure this thing out kind of thing. And so, yeah, I had my first machines were National Swing Gate kits that I had to assemble myself. And then there was the other guy in the shop was the only guy that supposedly knew anything about machines. We'd have to give them to him to tune them.
Right.
So he would fix what I did wrong or whatever, make them work. And if I wasn't able to get a result out of a tattoo, well, it was because John had to tune the machine, you know? Yeah. So I was like, fuck this. I need to learn how to tune my own machine. This is ridiculous. And so, yeah, on we went.
Yeah, I feel like back then, especially, like information was like either misinformation or, you know, like it was very rare that you found somebody that really, really knew what was going on.
Oh, I've been for a long time. No, anybody.
There was always like one guy in the shop that was like, oh yeah, I'll tune your machines for you. But he couldn't explain why.
He would just take them in the back and tinker with them until they sounded different. And then he'd come out and be like, here you go, it's all set. You know, like,
yeah. It was no explanation. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll just give my machines to this guy.
Yeah, I think anything else, self-learning is a process, you know, again, going back to ripping things apart and putting it back together and playing with it, you know, you evolve in the technical aspect of learning.
Yeah,
I totally relate, because there wasn't information, there wasn't books, there wasn't the internet. People were tight on information. Nobody wanted, well, a lot of people that I knew didn't want to give up anything, especially local artists and local shops. Not that there were many.
Well, look around now. Now we know why. Now we know what they were so fucking afraid of, and they were right.
There it is.
Well,
there's going to be no stopping it. But
I mean, that's nothing. I wouldn't be sitting here like having a conversation with my mentor and somebody that I looked up to in tattoo machine building 20 years ago if none of that stuff existed. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people that got into it and fell off, you know, but there's very few people that started from that era that like actually kept it going and like, you know, through the years progressed and really pursued it.
Right.
So I don't think like everything was out there. I think like every little nook and cranny that you could get, like you kept to yourself, or, you know, you only shared with people that you deemed really worth it, you know, that weren't going to exploit what you knew or what you found out.
See, and that's the piece that they were worried about. Like I was very, like I said, very ignorant. So I was like, oh, every time I learn something, I want to go tell 10 people, like, check out this fucking thing. Like no one cares, right? Yeah. But I was doing that with the tattoo machine shit too online. Once the internet started, you know, we were on the forums and things, I was just like asking questions and answering questions. And if I got, you know, I was like, oh, well, I learned this because I was so excited. And, you know, a couple people had to warn me of exactly that. Like, no, they're going to take this shit and exploit it. Like, you worked to understand that. You can't just give it away. It won't be received correctly. And so it took time to learn how to be excited and share properly, I guess. Yeah.
So
I think a lot of
of
talking about it, and then like for sure, like you start talking about like the technical stuff with tattoo machines, and depending on who you're talking to, because it's not like there's not a lot of tattoo machine builders around where I live. So you start talking to people, and then they get this like glaze, like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
still get that.
oh yeah,
Cool.
oh yeah, like, that's why it's, I mean, and bringing it back to like why we do this podcast is because it's a forum for fucking nerds. Like,
I love that.
dive deep into like the same stuff. Like we're there. I mean, there's a lot of people making tattoo machines, and I get that, and that's fine. That doesn't change what I will do. It's not going to change what any of us are going to do. We're still going to make tattoo machines, but that circle of people that are like super, super, super nerdy about it is getting smaller and smaller.
Sure. Yeah, because the circle of people that want to work for things is getting smaller and smaller. The circle of people that understand what Tony was saying, how it takes time for understanding, is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, you said
They want it right now, but it's not valuable then, so you don't get to enjoy it. You don't get to have that amazing feeling of learning and growing and then moving on to the next thing. They just want it right now, get the thing, and then go.
Yeah, patience is in short supply.
I was kind of like that when I was younger too. I wanted to graduate from high school when I was in 8th grade. It's just how I was wired. I was just always like trying to move forward faster, playing the guitar, skateboarding, BMX. I wanted to be better than I was, but I had to learn that I had to dial it down and just live in the moment and be who I was. But I still feel that way, man. I don't know if it's a personality type. I don't know if it's just the way I'm wired, but I'm always like, I'm in the middle of doing 30 projects and I'm thinking about the 30 next ones.
Yeah.
And
That's a disease, man. I have it and it's terrible. It keeps me from enjoying life, when like you just want to be focused and soaked into that thing, but you got 30 other things that that you should be doing or could be doing.
Yeah.
And that's constant. Doesn't matter what I choose to do. I'm still thinking I should be doing something else now. It's terrible.
And another side of that is the time travel. Like when I put my head down, next thing I know, it's 4 hours later. My wife called me 3 times. I'm late, and I can't stop. I'm just like a maniac.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point for me where it's just like there's no other hobbies besides like
Knocking cars. No.
Everything that has to do with tattoo machines is my life. Besides my family, machines. Tattooing, number one, and painting and making pigment. That's it. Like that's it.
Nice. That's nice. If you're able to stick with that and that be your core and that meet all of your needs, that's fantastic.
Well, the sacrifice
by anything fucking shiny. Everything's interesting, so I want to get into all of it.
Well, the sacrifice is like I have, I don't skate anymore. Like I've been skating since I was 8 years old. I've been playing guitar since I was 8 years old. Like I got concrete hands. When I go to try to play guitar, I got to shake the concrete out. It's like, there's no time for bands. There's no time for like, doing any, like it's the only time to like focus on, tattooing. And, it's like, I got more past the future, my friends. So it's like, I want to get it all in as much as I can.
Yeah.
I think that's a typical story, Greg, because you said a couple things that trigger me too, because I did the same. I rode BMX for years, downhill, mountain bike, play guitar, and I don't have time for that. I have family, I have my business.
Yeah.
Like BJ said, you whittle it down to the core components that make you happy, that are important.
Yeah.
But
I'm not even sure they make me happy. It's just like,
what's happy? What do you mean? Wow.
It's like it's constant,
happy.
you know what I mean? Like,
BJ said shiny. It's like that's the one word. Oh, shiny.
Yeah. Squirrel. Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Crazy.
the cat. I just discovered we have the same cat.
Oh
Because
yeah, you do. You have a brown tabby like mine. Yep.
he's the coolest dude ever. How long have you had him?
Simba's 10.
10.
I've had him 9 years. Yeah, I've had him 9 years, I think.
And that's your, like, he's your
Yeah. So we have two.
guy.
And he chose, he's mine, and Riza is the girl, and that's my wife's cat. And yeah, they choose and very specific and possessive. Yeah, that's mine. Yeah.
That's wild, their personalities, because mine's the same way. He wasn't purchased by me, but he ended up with me. And
Same, yeah.
like, he's my man. Like, he's my buddy.
I love that. It's great. I've never had a dog. Like I love all animals, but I never really had a lifestyle where I could do a dog. We talk about it all the time, but you can't really bring a dog into a family of cats that are established. So we're always in that cycle. It's never the right time. So I'm just super into cats. They're perfect for me. They're in our lifestyle and they're awesome.
So what?
And they're like basically cats. They're cat dogs. Like
Little dogs or big dogs?
Chihuahuas.
Oh,
Yeah, they're fucking awesome.
Chihuahua.
They're the best dogs ever. My one dog,
They kind of look like this too, which is
They do.
she's like 13. She's got no teeth. Her name is Steely, named after like the greatest band to ever live and play. Steely
Nice.
Dan. She's the fucking queen. I found her on the street. She's like 4 pounds. She's smaller than a cat. She's amazing. She makes these little. Yeah, dude. Long story. I'll save that. But like, yeah, I found her on the street, like, and it was I took her home. I didn't have a dog, but then I had a dog after I found her. She's fucking mad cool.
Dog. That's cool.
Tootsie roll turd. Fucking great. Easy cleanup.
You're a big softy.
Who, me?
Yeah.
What are you telling?
The world.
Don't ruin my.
I was telling the story the other day about when I learned you were a boxer. When we were at the convention and I like play hit, and you hit me like 6 times before I went like this. We just like, and I was just like, what just happened?
I wouldn't go so far to call myself a boxer because
I
I don't box no more. Like, I wouldn't go that far. I'm quick, but like, you have to be quick and effective. That's a whole nother thing.
We got to get you up to Rubber City so you could come and meet BJ in person, dude. And he's something else, man. He's something else, Soba.
Who?
You are, Greg.
You're talking about
Greg is?
Oh yeah.
I gotta work out. I gotta work out the summer, man. You know how it is. Right now, I'm in the middle of making parts. I'm not even making parts yet. I'm making jigs.
Yeah.
I got like new jigs to make, and then I'll make parts in January, February.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, summertime. I'm right near Atlantic City. It's like walking crazy, so it's hard for me to break away.
That's cool.
But I would love to get out there. I would love to hang.
You haven't come to it. You haven't gone to the Rubber City show. You didn't go last year.
No. I'm like, I've become, a lot like you. Like you're like, oh, like what? I don't get out much. And you know what sucks about that? I had like so many good opportunities to go like guest spot in so many good shops, and I just like get stuck doing fucking infinity symbols on like shoebies, ribs and stuff, like, like what's what we call tourists over here. We call them shoebies. So it's like I get stuck like doing like, you do anywhere from 6 to 10 tattoos a day. And like, I don't like to disappoint. I want people to come to my shop and have a good time and get tattooed, So summertime's hard for me to get away. But I will try.
That's cool to hear that there's still shops like that. Like we don't see a lot of that anymore at all. It's all fancy pants, books closed type shit. My favorite time tattooing was when I was in the street shop, doing 5-6 tattoos a day, flash off the wall. That was the funnest time, actually. That was the funnest time ever tattooing was
I feel like it takes more discipline to tattoo that way. than it does to just, I mean, I don't know. Cause like doing like backs and sleeves and shit is fucking discipline too.
Yeah, but then there's emails. Then you got to tend to emails though. See, you don't have to do that with walking.
I mean, listen, I like, even if it's a
There's no emailing with the walking.
Our shop is like, we keep the doors locked anyway. Like, it's not like you can't just walk in. So if you want to get tattooed that day, it's like, you kind of got to set it up a little bit. Cause like, we're in kind of a crappy spot. So I don't want like people just rolling right in and like, you know, taking up residence in our front room and shit. So it's like I said, it's a discipline, but it's a different, I mean, the other 2 days a week I do backs and sleeves, and then 2 days a week I do walk-ins, you know, like almost religiously, like for the past, I don't know how many years, it's Friday and Saturday walk-ins, you know, you can come in and get like a little tattoo.
That's cool.
But I'm not hating on how everybody else runs their business, but like, I'm not concerned with anyone else and how they do things. But I feel like it's important to be able to like do little stuff so that you can appreciate doing like the big shit, you know, or having to like, and like a lot of the little stuff you have to think, but you don't have to think too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's kind of cool to like kind of relax a little bit and just have some fun, bullshit with people, make them laugh, tell stories.
Yeah, that was the funnest time. Yeah, that's the
you know, like it's not like real serious. You know, it's like it goes back to that, like the tattoo shop. Like, you know, like you go to a tattoo shop, it's like it's like going to a coffee shop almost. You know, it's not that serious. You know, like you don't have to make an appointment to go have a cup of coffee. Like, you know, it's like you just go and chill and get tattooed. You know, so I don't know. That's how I roll. But I'm gonna try to get out there this year. It's a hike though. I gotta go all the way across Pennsylvania. I have to drive. I don't think it's like I don't think it's close enough for me to fly. Like, you know, like it wouldn't make sense to fly.
How far are you from me?
5 hours, 6 hours.
6 hours. So yeah, it would be 7.5.
Yeah, it's not a terrible drive, but it's like it's a hike. I'd have to go out
in Akron.
Yeah, it's a shit drive. Yeah. 7.5, like my cutoff's like 5. I do Richmond. I drive from Pittsburgh to Richmond. It takes me like 5.5, depending on traffic, 6 hours.
Yeah. Oh, Richmond's the same.
I can make it 5. That'll work.
You make them 5?
Yeah. If it's any more than 6, I'm flying, man. Fuck driving. I don't like road tripping either. I don't like flying, but I don't like road tripping. So 5 is perfect.
Yeah, I've been
much rather fly, but I mean, for you know all the shit that you got to bring if you're at a tattoo convention, needs to sell. You know, it's like it's a little much. You know,
I think the last time I flown was Phoenix when I did Hell City years ago, and that was a pain in the ass. All my inks exploded. They ripped all my machines apart going through TSA. Some stuff was confiscated by my partner at TSA.
Oh
that
man,
sucks.
Last time I flew to go tattoo, I went out to Tulsa and tattooed at Richard Stell's place. That was crazy as hell. When he, you know, obviously when he was still around, but and the time before that, I went to New Zealand, and that was fucking nuts.
Yeah,
that's a long ass flight.
That is a long ass flight, and I brought my family too, so I had a 4-year-old with me.
You're crazy.
Yeah. LAX with a 4-year-old. I'm not even gonna say like, you know, like not even like New Zealand. LAX was a fucking nightmare.
He said no fucking way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm a fucking nightmare as it is. I'm worse than the 4-year-old, man. Damn. Me and that 4-year-old was going at
it. But she just chilled, dude. She just chilled. Like she was on it was her first, I think it was like, I'm not sure if it was her first time on a plane. It may have been her first time on a plane to like California, and then from California to New Zealand. It was a long ass time. But I wanted to go to fucking New Zealand. I went out there. I was like sponsoring some tattoo convention. I was doing a tattoo machine seminar, you know, and I went out there. I brought all these fucking machines. Holy shit, dude. You want to talk about TSA? So customs in New Zealand, I brought like 40 machines with me. And they were like, oh, what are these? And I was like, oh, they're tattoo machines. They're gifts for my friend. Like, because my buddy Steve owns a tattoo shop out there called Jolly Octopus, and he was running the convention. And I was just like, oh yeah, so you know, they're gifts. I kept saying gifts for Steve. Oh, and Steve's going to give them away to his friends. Oh, so Steve knows 40 people that tattoo, and I was like, mm-hmm. And the guy sat there for a sec. And he was like, oh, okay, you can go. And I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I just snuck all these fucking tattoos.
That.
I brought a lot because I had a seminar. So they were all like, the way I ran my seminar was I assembled all these tattoo machines, and then you have to unassemble them and then reassemble them. So it's like the same way I was taught. It was like, you have a tattoo machine, you take it apart, you put it back together, it has to work the same way. So that's kind of how I taught the seminar. I haven't done the seminar probably since those years, and it's a lot for me to do. So you're probably never going to see one from me for like a long time, if any. But yeah, New Zealand, man.
You have seminars at Rubber City? Do you have seminars at Rubber City?
Yeah, I don't do one. We have Rich Helton that does one from Blood Money. Rich.
Yeah, I know Rich.
Yeah, he comes in. Adam from Junk works with him. I'm too busy, putting out fires all weekend to sit down and teach. So it's about supporting the community. So I'd rather everybody else come in and teach and, spread their word, have their exposure, and represent themselves, than me trying to hog the limelight. That's not what it's about.
What other like topics are the seminars covering at that show? Like,
so Renee Little did a painting seminar last year, and like how to keep, I forget how it's specifically worded, but it was a way to keep your studio like on the green side of things, like proper disposal techniques and different,
like from tubes.
Yeah, for tubes and plastic.
From tubes. That's how you keep everything green.
Thoughts. I did not attend the seminar, so I don't know. And then Gabe from Tattoo Now, Reinventing the Tattoo, does a few business-minded seminars.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm talking to 2 people now about doing other things, like a cover-up seminar and another business / 3-day tattoo project, like how to do a 3-day. Like a lot of these younger kids now are doing, they go to conventions and they'll do like a full leg sleeve in fucking 3 days. So there's techniques on how to limit trauma and how to comfort your people, your mindset, like the whole Zen, I guess, behind it.
Wow.
But why, you want to do one?
I've done them before. I haven't tried because I haven't really been interested and haven't gone. I'd be open to something, I've done like a few build it your own, like where you price of admission covers you leave with a machine that you built. That's a lot of work. And it's a lot to try to crunch it into that time. We're always going over, time. So, and then I feel like just a talking and isn't really that interesting. So yeah, I don't know. Rich was actually talking about doing maybe a group one, like a group seminar.
Yeah, he had mentioned that to me as well. No, I'll see if I can mind if I can get him in here. I'll see if he could jump in.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So
I think he was watching. Some people were commenting in the chat room. I think Rich was in there.
Yeah, I'll send him a link right now.
Are you doing the Machine Olympics again, or?
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
We got to talk about that. I got to go get some water. I'll be right back. But hold on. Or you just, talk about that.
Where'd you go?
Gotta get some water.
Hey, you tell us the story, Greg. I got to do something real quick.
Let's see.
New Zealand.
A story. Give me a topic.
New Zealand.
New Zealand was fucking awesome. It was beautiful, beautiful place. All the food tasted great because it didn't taste like poison. The eggs were fresh. They tasted salty and good. Butter was amazing. Milk was amazing. I didn't eat any fast food there, but everything you eat, just like, it's awesome because it just doesn't taste like poison. Like like you can tell the difference. Like you get a steak here and it's like, the size of a fucking doormat, and you get the same steak over there and it's like normal size, and it's just like there's no bullshit in it.
Yeah.
So there's a story.
America.
you know, I don't know. I thought it was pretty. I thought New Zealand's pretty cool. Hard to get over there. I made a lot of really good friends. I had a friend that came here that I met there. His name was Hiram, and fucking this kid rips at tattooing, and he's like, "Oh, I want to come to America," and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, anytime." Like, you know, like, yeah, whatever. And the homie called me like a month later, and he was like, "Yo, I want to come. I'll be out there for like a week." And I was like, "Yeah, cool. You can stay with me. You can work at the shop, whatever, no big deal." And he calls me back and he's like, "Oh, I think I miscalculated how long I was going to be out there. I'm going to be out there for like 29 days." And I was like, okay. Like, you know what I mean?
And I'm sleeping at your house.
Yeah, I had like a, you know, so I had, you know, I'm like trying to get comfortable with having a house guest for a month. But he came out, and like that dude's like my brother now. He's like, you know, super, super great guy. Him and his family, they own a tattoo studio in the North Island, and his sister does like pretty. I don't know about strict traditional Maori tattooing, but it's like their family tattooing is like more Polynesian Maori based. And man, if I could post the link to, I could show you this dude. He was like a kid when I met him, but you know, a couple years after I met him, he sent me pictures about when he got his ass done, he got his like belly done, his, you know, all the way down to his knees. He just basically got like board shorts of like Maori design the traditional way, like hammered in and stuff. And they're like washing them off with a hose. It took 3 days to do it, and he said he was like hallucinating by like the last day.
Wow.
And I was like, you were a kid when I met you, but you're a fucking man now. Like, it's like more tattooing than I would ever get in my whole life packed in 3 days. So anyway, that's my story about New Zealand, and big up to Hiram. That's my dog. I love you, brother.
Yeah, I'll catch his link off you later. Let's get back to grilling the man.
Yep.
So, Beach,
Yeah.
tell us the story behind these guys.
Yeah, so come from the graffiti days. I've always loved just street art, public art, stencils, paste ups, whatever. But I've always been more attracted to objects than illustration. So again, that kind of goes back into me making things all the time. So sculpting has always been really interesting to me. I have not done a ton of it before, but it's always been interesting. I played with like ceramics and again, the metalsmithing and you know, and I have done some clay work. So the vinyl toy thing was really, really interesting for a while. I never really got into it because it takes too fucking long to paint one of those things, to be honest with you, you know. Not like you can do much with it when it's done. Like again, that whole interactive thing to it. So I don't know. I was doing when I first started making machines, I was carving the wax and making the rubber mold and shooting the wax and having them investment cast. So I was already kind of geared that way. A few years ago, I tried to do some art nights, and my friend Paige from Atlanta, what's up, Paige, told me about this Free Art Friday thing where so a friend of hers put her onto it, where these artists just make shit and they go put it out, snap it on the gram, and away you go. I fell in love with it. I thought it was awesome. So I started doing like little engraved, like laser engraved heads and shit like that. And it gradually built up to me making these little sculpts, casting them, making magnets, and then going and putting them up around town for Free Art Friday. And that's been going for a few years now.
So, but you made these and you put them all through Grand Rapids, and when people discover them, they could just pocket them if they want, or they just
they just take them. Yeah, the whole point is to go and get them, you know, and it's free art. You know, it's for you to take. I still see there's a couple that I put around town that people haven't found, they haven't seen them, and I drive by them and I still see them, and that makes me, you know, because there was this dude at Gregos in Paris that I saw that was doing these plaster casts of his face, and they weren't to take down, like they're permanently affixed, and I got a lot of inspiration from that dude. But so yeah, I like the idea of plastering certain ones that are meant to stay, and then, you know, publishing the ones that people can go find and keep.
Are you familiar with the elder graffiti artist Reds?
Mm-hmm.
From back in the day? Remember, I don't know if you remember this, but if you walked around Dumbo in Brooklyn, there was like, I guess he would like raise these metal sculptures of like graffiti pieces like to fences and shit.
That's
And,
badass.
like, yeah, it's like you could walk around that area. Is like really industrial. Well, it used to be really industrial. It's probably all gentrified now, but back then it was like just like a hellscape of like warehouses and detritus everywhere. And then there's like, you know, that guy, I guess he would just roll up and like just weld shit to fences and weld it to anything, like, you know, like stuff. Cause he was like, I guess he was a welder and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it was like that neighborhood Dumbo was like, you like every other block there was something cool, you know, like a metal graffiti piece, like so fucking sick, you know.
yeah. When the 3D stuff started coming out, I said a lot of guys were doing like foam sculpts of the 3D stuff and affixing them places. And you know, that again with the paste ups and the stencils and stuff, it's just taking just the spray painted name so much further, you know, in different directions. And it's really interesting and fun. You know, again, the engaging part for me was really cool, you know. Like I love the idea about getting out and writing your name on shit, which I don't do anymore, but interaction there in the social media aspect, you know. So usually I have people just follow me, like every Friday they check the stories and they check it and they go and get them. I got my one buddy Greg who goes out all the time. He's probably got 4 or 5 of them that he's found already. And so it's starting to build a little bit of a, you know, of a following of people that are going out and finding these things, and it's just super rewarding.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't beat it. You just mentioned you mentioned a little bit ago about doing the lost wax and like making you use like injection molding to make your waxes and stuff, or
not injection molding. It's like it's a wax injector, yeah, and that's another jewelry process too. You know, like it's a wax pot, and you it's under pressure, and you squirt the wax into there, and yeah.
So it's similar to
basically the same, yeah.
Can you tell us how you came to know these processes? Like, what was your influence for that? And
the Rio Grande catalog. Literally like thumbing through the Rio Grande catalog and looking at stuff. And then there would be, I mean, this is way before YouTube, maybe, at least before I had access to it, you know, like really early on in the internet. So it wasn't like I could just Google search. Certainly Google wasn't around, you know, how to do casting, right? So you catch a PBS special or something, and books, lots of books. The Complete Metalsmith from Tim McCreate was probably the wealth of knowledge, but you know, just touching the tip of each one of these little things. And then, you know, there's a bunch of books right here. Those are all metalsmith books on various techniques, you know, hydraulic press forming and casting and coloring, patenizing bronze recipes, like it's all fucking right there. So books, but you know, saving up for equipment and fucking trying it out. Yeah.
But like, what pointed you in that direction? You know, because like up until like when Workhorse kind of started, like I wasn't really aware. I know that like maybe like Spiderweb had done like
yeah, those are cool. I have one.
You know, he may have done like some lost wax or you know, or what's the other
investment cast?
Casting. But you didn't see a lot of that until like you saw your stuff and Aaron Kane's stuff.
Aaron Carter, well, I mean, yeah, he was doing that too, but yeah, I was gonna say most of his shit's one-offs, but yeah, no, he was doing the rubber molds too. You know what it was when I was a kid, where them skull beads came from too, man. I was like into like crafts and shit, you know, and there was like bead shops and I like necklaces. And so I'd make these little necklaces, and that's where I found them, the mala beads, you know, and shit like that. And I had a good friend of mine who did really like museum quality African jewelry. Like she was amazing. And she educated me a lot on materials and stuff. And one of those was amber. And I got super into amber and like trying to figure out how to carve it, which is a real motherfucker. I don't recommend it. But I went down that rabbit hole. And then, you know, the amber is always wrapped in silver and stuff. And so I started finding out about deeper and deeper into the jewelry world, going from necklaces to fucking investment casting, you know? That's awesome. And then just applying that to whatever else I was doing. I remember I made this like Egyptian scarab pendant thing, and whatever. But then when I got into the tattooing, then everything just shifted, and everything I made with all that was pointed at tattoo world stuff, and influenced by tattoo world stuff.
So did you have your own little foundry set up, or did you have it sent out or something?
We had the first time I worked at that street shop I was talking about earlier, Mos Eisley's, and I talked those guys into going in on that wax pot for me. So I was first shooting waxes in the back of the shop in my station. Then I eventually started putting shit in the basement, and taking over the house. But that's where it started, on a fucking folding chair with an airbrush compressor and this wax pot. And I was going in fucking shooting waxes, trying to make molds. It was
amazing.
But we didn't have a foundry, so we
if there's anybody that loves that, I don't know if anybody would love that more than me. That's awesome.
Oh, man.
My wax pot in my basement collecting dust.
Yeah. See, this shit's fun, man. I opened it up, check it, and got hot wax in my eye, fucking sealed it shut. Oh man. Yeah.
So I bought that it was a little handheld book. It was on eBay in the early 2000s, how to build your own furnace.
To melt like aluminum and bricks.
20-page little half by 11 folded in half book.
We talked about this. I'm pretty sure I have the same book, but I bought a crucible and that was it.
5 gallon. Well, I made my crucible too. It was a 5-gallon bucket with fire brick. What's the concrete? Like the fire concrete.
Refractory concrete.
Cement. Yeah, and then it's a bunch of pipe fittings put together, and it hooks up to a shop vac in a propane.
Yeah, to blow.
I remember fired out with brass. I was just like, wow, it works, dude. I still have it. It's in my basement. I said,
wow,
it works.
Cool. Shit is cool, man. Wow. I haven't made a forge, but I was really tempted to a couple years ago when everybody's getting into the knife thing. I started to go down that rabbit hole, but pulled myself back out and refocused. So I have not made a knife. I will not make a knife, but I learned some cool techniques for them handles and shit. Oh, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I see that on the saws you make.
So that's the other thing, like getting into all the metalsmithing and stuff, which led me to their tools. And then building tattoo machines, I thought, well, shit, I could make metalsmith tools. The saw frame was just a no-brainer because I hated the one I had. And my idea was pretty simple, so it was easy to make, and that kind of took off. So yeah, I do that on the side. It's the Green Lion saw frame. It's for jewelers and metalsmiths, and
it's a beautiful tool.
Thank you.
It is. I mean, the way it's done, it looks like it's artsy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm an artist that makes tools for other artists, right?
Yeah.
So again, he's creating art to create art with.
That's right. It's a fucking beautiful circle.
Yeah, it's a beautiful circle.
It is. It's good. Encouraging others to create also, and sharing information. It goes back to that, and equipping people with information and tools. It's rewarding,
So let me ask you this: do you saw cut your machines, two vices with your own saw?
Hell no.
Had to ask.
Sorry, I thought UPS was there. I have, okay.
Art with the art that you created while creating art with the art that you created.
I have, but I don't make a fucking habit of it, man. Now I design them with that cut already in there. Yeah. I don't do a lot of hand fabricating with tattoo machine stuff anymore, unless I'm prototyping something.
Yeah.
Now I'm, I did just make a fucking A-bar 2 weeks ago, and I was like, God damn, I haven't done this in a long ass time. I have 30 different sizes of A-bars in drawers labeled, but
you would probably be afraid of my workshop because everything is just raw dog. It's just raw.
Man, I was at my homie Shipwreck Irons. What's up? I did a build day with him, and his garage is like that too, man. He calls it the caveman building, and he's right. But it was fun, there's challenges that come with not having that shit. That's why you get all the new fancy shit, so you don't have to deal with those challenges, but there's something romantic about what comes out when you have those limitations, when you have those challenges, when you have that busted ass fucking machine that you know you got to hold this side down while you're feeding it over here, or it's gonna fucking fall. You know, like
Yeah.
I have one of those.
Let me tell you all about the fun challenges.
I can laugh because I'm
Talk
far enough
about
away.
painting yourself into a corner. Jeez.
I think I've went like this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just went back to a hacksaw and a drill press and a file. I don't know why. I just love to torture myself, man. Although I do work with CNC shops, there's just, I don't know. Like you see my builds, they're just like stuff. It's just whatever. There's a shoestring on it. Like it's whatever.
It's the desired end result, man. What do you want to do with it? You know what I mean? Like I don't want to make 50 of those and sell them at that price point. You know, so well, I like a little bit of both. I like the production machines because not everybody wants to spend for a custom one-off, you know, but they still want something nice. So it's a nice game to play. You know, to get to build the fancy stuff once in a while. If I had to just do that all the time, like that would get really old too, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, I can assemble 25 machines in a day, but I can only build one that way. If a day, sometimes it'll take 2 days. But then that's the one that I'm just like, I will never sell this. Or here, just take it. You can have it. Like,
It's like you build stuff with you might build something with somebody in mind that you might give it to. It's almost like I'd rather sell them.
I do that, yeah.
Or I'd rather sell them to the right people or give them to my friends, you know, but I don't need to sell them to everybody. You know,
not every single one of them, because you know you're enjoying what you're doing, and it doesn't boil down to money, but you know, we still got to buy more fucking drill bits and shit. So
it's nice to give back. It's definitely nice to give back.
It's just good to share. It's just fun to share. You know, it's like it's fun to fucking hook somebody up and see how stoked they are. You know.
Yeah.
So to that point, Greg, when I reached out to SOBA, Rich that works for me, Cosgrove, he loves SOBA, loves his machines. He met you in Atlanta and hung out with you years ago. It was like mid 2000s.
Oh yeah, I remember that show.
He worked with Crash.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I was with Crash at that show.
So Rich goes, man, see if he could build me a machine. And I reached out, and lo and behold, he's like, I don't have any. SOBA's like, I don't have any frames. And then the next day, he's like, oh wait, I have 3 here. You want one of these? And then like 2 days later, it was in my mailbox at the house.
That's how I go, man.
And I gave it to Rich, and he just looked at me like he just had a newborn baby. It was fun.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I said, you better fucking call him or reach out to him and thank him, man.
I think he did.
Hopefully. If not, I'll yell at him again.
So the first tattoo machine that I built from a kit was a SOBA Pilot.
Was it really?
Yes. And I have it right here.
What happened to it? No.
You know, what'd you do to it, dude?
Period correct shredding.
Look at that. That was the first kit you ever built?
Yeah, this is 2003. So like I must have built this and ran it for a long time, and then probably just chopped it up and shredded it with a Dremel. Got all that fucking nice metal splinters in my eyeball.
That stuff carves really nice though. It's nice and powdery.
Shit's chrome. As a but like that was what 2003. So that was that long ago, and sometimes you have to take a moment and think like, when I was sitting in my kitchen like putting this machine together, like never in a million gajillion years would I be thinking that like I'd be having this discussion with you. Like you were such a heavy influence over the years. Not only
that long ago, that's what crazy thing that you said that is because the pilot came out in 2003. That we started Workhorse in March of 2003 at the Motor City show. So this coming March is the 20-year anniversary of the pilot. 20 fucking years, that machine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I may have gotten a kit probably late, like maybe November of that year in 2003. If not 2003, it was definitely 2004. But
pretty quick after, yeah, we started doing kits pretty soon. We did the pilot and the classic kits first, and yeah,
I remember it saying like skills not included, and that's the thing that, like, you know, like when I read that, I was just like, fuck these guys. You know, it was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna build this anyway. You know, like it was just like it was such
well, it's true though, man, because it goes back to that thing.
Absolutely
People
true.
don't want to work. They're like, I want to save $100, but I still want the same product. It's like, no, motherfucker. Like, if you're gonna buy it in pieces, then you're gonna get what you built in pieces, and that's the difference. Like, don't, because they would just fucking call, like, how do I do this? Like, no. That's not what the kit pricing is for me to walk you through how to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh. So,
yeah, when I got it, I soldered everything together, I assembled it, you know, put everything together and stuff, and then I went to put the clip cord on and it didn't work. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? And here, I guess I figured out that there's enamel on the wire. And that was like the first machine I built, and that was the first lesson I learned. It's like,
it's almost always that. Like when people are like, it's just dead, it just doesn't work. I'm like, did you scrape the fucking coil wire? And they're like, what? I'm like, there you go. And then I'm like, are the wires backwards? You know, like
yeah. I called National once. I'm like, I did everything. And they're like, did you scrape the wire? I can't get it to solder. Did you scrape it? Oh, you gotta scrape it.
Yeah. That's how you fucking learn, and now you never forget to do that, right?
That's right.
Oh yeah, there was never once when I forgot that. Again, after that, you know, it's crazy.
Right, exactly.
But I love this frame. It's like that long frame geometry, you know, super long ass A-bar.
Yeah.
I guess I have it set up like a shader, even though it's not.
No, it has the fucking shader hole right there, dude. You can move
it. Hey man, 20 years ago.
How long you been building fucking machines?
That's awesome. I'm fucking glad that you have that. That's great. Oh yeah.
Yo, Icon Springs. Cheers.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
He just called you out on the shader hole, son.
I'm calling myself out. Who cares?
I love it.
Yeah, man. I was so proud of this brass machine I first built, and I took it to the show to show Lyle Tuttle, and fucking, you know, I didn't have a yoke on it. I didn't know what a yoke was, and I don't know why it's getting hot, you know, but I was so proud, you know, it was a fucking bonehead move that I overlooked. And so now I'll never forget that part either. You know?
So what's your favorite material to work with as far as frame construction?
Oh, I love that ductile iron a lot.
Yeah. Annealed.
Yeah.
That's yeah, man.
It just sounds so good. It's got that fucking dead hit to it, you know, and it's soft enough to you can sand it down, you know, and you can do a lot to it. And it just, it works so good. Yeah, that sandcast ductile iron is my favorite, you know.
I built so I casted for years and years and years, and the foundry shut down. They stole my boards. They're gone.
Oh shit.
So I have a few blanks left, and every I'll break them out and I'll mill them. But I will tell you, man, that to me, that was my favorite. That is definitely my favorite. I build those 1018 like laser cut side plate ones, and they just, to me, they're great, but they don't have like the you know,
not that same density to it or something. I don't know. The sound is different. The hit is a little
vibration. The dampening. I agree.
That's why I always hate aluminum. But now there's workarounds for it, and it's fine. But yeah, it took me a long time to get used to aluminum for sure. Brass is nice, a little heavy.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it was what we could work with back then. It was accessible. I still have the original Rusto pattern in the garage right now. Yeah, it was made I made the master out of acrylic. Like, laminating acrylic together and sanding that all down for the pattern master for the sandcast. Yeah.
Oh wow, really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. You got to carve all the draft into it and everything. It was single sided. It was way before we did double sided patterns. That was real advanced.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, so wow, that's awesome. So like you had to so it was like one pattern, or like you made a board out of acrylic?
The board and with it's called a 10 on or 8 on, whatever, and I think the Rusto was a 10. Yeah. Had 5 frames down each side, and the gating down the middle and everything.
The gate and the spruce. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Well, we had a few really good foundries in town for decades, in West Michigan, and there was a lot of resources for that, honestly. Like,
wow. Yeah, I'm not near
the first sandcast brass frames we got is because a lady came in to get tattooed, and you're always like, oh, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I work at Keeler Brass. And we were like, hitting up every customer who had anything remotely to do with that, like, oh shit, can you make this? Like,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I tattooed a kid
How did
foundry. It shut down. He used to trade me for blanks. So he would run off like 200-300 blanks and be like, just tattoo me for a couple hours.
Amazing.
Hell yeah, man.
Please.
Keep them coming. I had buckets of these frames.
Oh, nice.
So would you say that experience when you first figured out like people were working at different foundries or something like in your area, was that kind of like the nucleus of like how Workhorse started? Like when everybody pulled their resources, sort of? Like, was that
but that was a huge contribution of mine to the idea. So Workhorse was not my idea, it was Seth's idea. He called me first and he said, here's my idea. This is what we're going to do. And I was like, fuck yeah, count me in. Here's what I can do. And he was like, fuck yeah, let's do that. And then off we went. So the idea was there, and then the resources got pooled from, like Aaron had the fucking hex binder hookup, if I recall, and I had the foundries here, and the machinist was here, and so different parts came from different people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But that's why I got to be here, though, is because those resources were here close to me, and I was able to actually drive to the foundry to pick up big ass fucking bucket castings, So yeah, that helps with I guess the longevity of it, the consistency of it.
Yeah, that was a big issue on my end, was the consistency.
Always.
It's foundry was shut down. They'd shift your board to the next foundry. You have orders piling up, and then lead times with machine shops when you're doing productions.
Oh, my foundry fired me.
Nuts.
My foundry fired me. I was bringing them. It got to the point to where we were like new model. So I was like getting boards, and they were like, you have 15 fucking patterns on, and we, they do like big ass shit, and I'm asking them to do these little things, and they were like, you're just asking too much. So then that's when we really started shifting over to more CNC based stuff. We had tried it, but it was not really accessible for the price point at that, when we were first coming into it. So we were kind of forced to shift because we were losing the foundry resource. We had to get split it up. And, that sucked.
So you said price point shift from CNC to casting and machining. You didn't see any like balance correlation there? Like was a price point higher to CNC or lower?
Absolutely. Yeah. Machining out of a block was way fucking more. I mean, like, I know it was, maybe it was the machinist that I had, like trying to machine a casting, as you know, is a pain in the ass, figuring out how to hold it and keep it square, and then trying to get it consistent from casting to casting it's a motherfucker. You got to find a common, which is not even there. So luckily that wasn't my fucking problem. I wasn't actually cutting the frames. So the cost of the casting and then the cost of the manual machining, like literally all those first Workhorse frames, one guy did on a Bridgeport manually. Yeah. He had power frames. That's it. That's it. So
it worked.
yeah. But I mean, and his prices weren't terrible. But when we shifted to CNC, like it was like The programming was crazy. The tooling was crazy. We never had those high upfront costs before. It was wild. It was wild to make that jump for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
I know.
now it's way more exciting. It's way cheaper now, you know.
Yeah. I just I haven't done a blank in a long time, and I jigged one up and did one the other day. It took me about 2.5 hours
To mill a blank.
just to mill and drill, not to finish, just to mill and drill.
Get it where it's got to be.
And my back hurt because I don't have power feed. I'm that guy. And I have a mini machine. I'm that guy.
Yo, hey man, just make an arbor. Get yourself a little electric drill.
Yes.
Buddy. You should see my milling machine. You should see my poor man's power feed.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I'm fucking cranking.
Send me a schematic.
Dude, if you got a lathe, make an arbor.
Yeah.
You know?
I bitch about these kids not being patient, but I'm the least fucking patient person, man. I can't.
I don't know that I'm very patient. I just know that, like, I mean, I'm super interested in the process of making everything. So, win or lose, you know, sometimes you learn, sometimes you just go through and do whatever you're doing. Like, you make coil cores, you make them, they might be great. You might have missed something this time, and then you're going to learn, you know? So like, or you might learn a way to make them better. Who knows? But I mean, I can sit at a lathe and make like 20 coil cores top to bottom, start to finish. It'll take me about 3-4 hours, but you know,
that'd be fun for a time, you know, but not
thing,
like every week, like I got to go make cores.
But this is the thing that I hate the most is lead times. This is why I started doing everything myself. And you mentioned
other people's lead times.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I don't mind if it's me. Like, I'll go out in the shed. I'll just go out in the shed and make the shit. And it's not a problem. But
I fucking hate that too. I want my shit right now. I want it, you know, like, oh, I'm excited. I gotta have this shit, you know, like,
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, no, it's 3 weeks behind. Fuck.
Yeah, I couldn't handle it. Cause like I would get like super anxious when like, oh no, we don't have any coil cores. What do you mean you don't have any coil cores? Like, what do you mean? What am I going to do? I'm going to be out of fucking business. And then the shit starts rolling around in your head. And I'm like, I got to be more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And like when I started, and that's when I started like really like, well, fuck this. Like, I got to learn how to, I've had this lathe for a million years. I got to learn how to use it.
You know, that's when you hire 2 machine shops.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, even then it wasn't even machine shops. This is before that. I would get stuff from Smitty. You know, and then like when he didn't have anything, that's when I started using e-machine shop and getting stuff and drawing stuff. And I would get coil cores outsourced. I think it was I don't know, it was a place in Millville, not too far from here. And I got some coil cores and I got binding posts done there, and they were really, really nice. But they fucking ran out, and I'm pretty sure that machine shop's closed now. So, you know, I don't need 1,000 cores. I just need 20.
See, that's the problem, you know, is that they don't want to run 20. They want to run, you know,
they want to run 1,000. Yeah. So like, I'll run them manually myself, you know? And there's like a million tricks in there to make your life easier, you know, to like, and especially like, I think this year, this might be like, maybe like 8 years that I've been doing handmade stuff, 9 years, maybe. So I got that process dialed, you know, but there was a lot of years when I did not have that process dialed, and it was very, very difficult for me. But I pressed on, and here we are. And like I always say, I reserve the right to like go back to, you know, using CNC, you know, but this is just where it's working for me right now. You know, I think it's still fascinating.
Again, it depends on the desired end result. You know, you want to experience that process more than you try to move units, you know, and you have to balance, you know.
Oh yeah. I'm not trying to move units. I'm just trying to make machines, you know. I like it. Like, I spend a lot of time selling them, you know. I think that's the problem. And the other thing too is like, you know, what we touched on earlier is like, you know, I don't do anything else. Like, you know, like those sacrifices is like, that's why I'm in the shed. You know, I'm not playing in a band or anything like that. I'm like, you know, making coil cores, and that's why, you know. So maybe I should start, you know, getting somebody to make my stuff, and, you know, I'd maybe be able to have a little bit more of a life outside of tattooing.
A nice tinted shirt. I like that. Sorry.
Classic.
What's that?
Oh, I just cut him off because I recognized your Tintin shirt and I thought.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. I was done talking. No big deal. But anyway, who gives a shit about me?
Dude, we all.
So you were talking about how
you just love my shirt better.
but everything went from doing casts to doing CNC. Do you think that's when when exactly did like workhorse really just fucking like become something of like a juggernaut? Because it's like
I never felt that it was. I never experienced.
There's never been another company or a collective of tattoo machine builders that has like been able to top what workhorse has done, as far as, in my opinion, like, so like when was it just like insane? Like, like this is just too crazy.
It definitely did get crazy, and we had to grow into it. It was 06 or 07 is when it really started to demand all of my attention. So I was tattooing, started doing the machines, the workhorse thing started. I gradually started putting more time into that, and it was, like this, like I'd take a day away from tattooing and another day away from, and it finally got to the point where I was like, I can't fucking tattoo. So I had moved it from tattoo shop to the basement to a little rental space, and then to a new tattoo shop, and then it was in the back of the tattoo shop where it actually took most of that space. Then finally I had to move to a different facility where it was just that, and we had to focus on just that.
Right.
And that was around 7 or 8.
So did you have a lot of employees at that time?
We had 8.
Were you guys doing all the builds?
What's that?
Like everybody that was in the collective, were they building their own machines and submitting, or like how did that?
100%.
Talking about that, or?
No, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, it was just a format that was set up. There's so many beneficial aspects. It wasn't just a marketing thing, but it was a marketing thing. It wasn't just a profit thing, but it definitely was a profit thing. It was, and it was a collaborative thing, and it was a fucking genius idea, if I'm being honest. And again, I can't take credit for that. But what was the question? What was the original question?
There was you had a collective builder.
Everybody did their own thing. Yeah. So everybody had their own models. They're like, and so they would send it in, and then all of the pre-production would be done here. So all the frames would be cast and machined, right? All the coils would be wound. And then we'd send all that shit to the individual. They do the build, send it back, and then we ship it to the end user.
So the builder becomes the assembler.
Well, yeah, the designer, the fucking designer, it's their model, it's their thing. They fucking still set it up and tune it. They're putting springs on it. They're making it right. They're fucking tuning it, right? It's up to them, and everything's to their specs too. We tried to use as much shit as we could to cut costs, like binding posts, like brass hex binders. Boom, there you go. That's out of the equation now, etc. And that was part of that price point model. A lot of people have tried to copy that model. It's not a big secret. It wasn't a secret then. It's not now. I think it goes back to that timing, man. We jumped in at that fucking sweet spot, and by the time we were already kind of had a foothold where we were, it started to get really, really flooded again. Yeah. And for whatever reason, there wasn't a lot of other companies that could make that significant of a foothold that we did.
Yeah, you're right.
Because there was so much more of it, and it was just everybody was trying to do that now instead of buying it. They were trying to make their own.
I mean, like, what would be worse, like how flooded it was with tattoo machine builders then, or how flooded it is with tattoo machine builders now? Depends. I think, like, I mean, I definitely would love to see more people making coil machines, personally, but you see people making all sorts of crazy shit. But I feel like it's like, back then everybody was still kind of spitballing. Like nobody really knew what to do. Like it wasn't as like exact as it is now. You can call somebody up and get a bunch of parts, and it's no big deal. And you're in the tattoo machine building business. It's like not a big deal. But as far as like designing your stuff and like what was the process of like, you know, you said everybody had their own geometry, everybody had their own specifications,
Yeah.
you know, like was everybody kind of fluent in like a universal language of math? Like, you know, did like
Oh yeah, dude, I was the most ignorant one out of that bunch, man. That starting lineup, those every one of those motherfuckers knew what was up for sure.
right,
For
okay.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's nobody like drawing something on a napkin saying, "Oh, I want it this way."
Oh no, there was absolutely napkin drawings.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Oh, no, yeah, yeah. No, that's how they did it. Yeah, yeah. If I could even get, normally it was like, no, just move it a little bit. You know, like,
Yeah.
no,
No.
come
I'm
on,
going through that
motherfucker.
shit right now.
Yeah. Yeah. They knew what needed to be done, but as far as communicating that, there was many napkins. Yeah.
Right. So the communication wasn't too bad because everybody knew like how machines work, liners work. And like you said, there's a lot of things that were taken out of the equation. Like, you know, like you get your machines, you know, finished in a CNC mill. So like, there's a lot of stuff that you don't have to worry about doing. Like, it's like, you guys had a look and your look was like very uniform. Like,
Well, look, actually was an accident. That's a fun fact. The trademark red oxide, that is just the same black oxide place I still use to this day. And that alloy of ductile iron, whatever it is, like I'd take any other material to that black oxide, it's black as fuck. These ductile iron cast frames were red all the time. I was like trying to make them black. Everything was good. Like the Mickey Sharps were black. Everything else is black. Like we used gun blue to get them black, but this was a production process, which was a huge pain in the ass. And so it just ended up being that red color. It ended up working out. It went really good with the brass and the fucking olive green. It was, you know, it ended up working, but
earth tones.
just,
Yeah.
There's something in that process with the ductile and the annealing, because I had that same issue. Like all my parts would come out black as fucking night, but my frames would come out looking like yours. And I'd be like, I want them black, dude, because that was the machine days, but they would come out that color.
We try to oil blacken them too, you know, like torching them and dunking them in oil and all that shit. I could never get that to work, not ever.
Yeah.
Really? See, I could get that working. You got to use dirty ass blown out motor oil, and I could get that to work.
Yeah.
But the process is so
More carbon the better on that process, you know.
Kevin Corder taught me that back in the early days when I started.
Oh yeah, man. He's from around here.
Yeah, he was my man. Like I owe him a lot of credit.
He was doing investment castings too. He's the one that I learned about what black oxiding even was. I was like, how do you get your A-bars black? You know, and they told me about the gum glue. You know,
It's awesome.
Around right at the very beginning too, for sure. Yeah.
Dude, Kevin's the man. Love
In
that.
fact, he was sitting next to us at that convention when we opened Workhorse. He was, because Detroit threw everybody in that back little fucking hallway. Like, no supplies sold to the public.
I remember those days.
Yeah. They weren't.
Skyver used to take me to that show.
Who did?
Mike Skyver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always there.
That's my man. I talk to that dude just about every day. He's taught me a lot about history and about machines and the way of the walk. That's a lot of credit.
I mean, that's such a resource, you know, to be able to talk to somebody with that stretch of experience is fucking tight.
Yeah, we're running real short on supply of our elders now. A lot of these guys are passing away. And
we have new ones.
Skyver is absolutely irreplaceable. Like such a good guy. You know, he's the meanest fucking dude I ever met. But he's like awesome. If you sit down and talk with him about anything, he'll tell you about it, you know.
I look forward to fucking hanging out at the Rubber City. He'll be there, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be there. I just talked to him the other day. He fell off a 16-foot ladder. He's putting up a metal roof over all his hot rods.
Oh
I'm like,
God.
And he's in his 70s. I'm like, what? He has more energy than my fucking 6-year-old. I'm like, dude, I can't get out of bed in the morning. This guy's just ripping and running from the get. He's love it.
Awesome.
Hit that deer antler once in a while with Skyver. You want to go to fucking space.
Don't drink, don't smoke. I'm good, man. So, BJ, what's in store for us in the future? I don't know what time Gabe's cutting us off. Gabe, are you out there in Gabe land?
Gabe's having another safety meeting by himself.
Is he?
The best way to have them.
See you-
I'm with y'all. No, I'm not going to cut you guys off until noon.
Oh, okay. We got a half hour. All right, cool.
And I'll have safety meetings by myself or with anybody, anytime. It's all good. Safety first. Cheers.
Safety first.
10-4.
I'm always working on some new shit. Always, I finally taught myself CAD a few years ago. I was, because I was sick of being the one delivering napkin drawings. So that's been super fun to get an idea and to play with it in actual shapes and geometries and to see digitally if it can work or not, and then to take that and fabricate it. So I've been playing a lot, trying some things. We'll see if I got something worthwhile, like just something to mix it up a little bit.
Well, yeah, there was that one frame we were talking about that you made.
Oh, the prefab or the bent frame one?
The prefab one. And it had that little notch in between.
Yeah. See, shit like that.
And that thing was like, that's the thing that started me doing those dovetail frames that I showed you. And one thing I thought was like really crazy, because we're sitting there talking about like, working in like CAD programs and stuff. I always use this like really crummy program, but it got the job done, and it was called eMachine Shop. And you were telling me that you had made, what was it, a bent frame? Like
yeah. That was when we had first moved over to the new tattoo shop with Workhorse in the back, and the eMachine Shop was a browser-based, free, where you could design simple parts on it, and they had little tutorials and shit, and that was kind of my intro to it. And yeah, I designed that so it could be laser cut and bent, that arrow bent frame.
Yeah, and
then that was like the only one I did like that. I couldn't get the spring shelf right, so I left it alone. But but that was neat. Yeah, those little machine brackets I made on that program too.
Yeah,
those machine display brackets. Yeah.
Yeah, I made 4 different frames that were bent, and it was the spring shelf thing.
Fucking spring shelf, man. It's 90 degrees, but it's not 90 degrees.
It's not 90. Like I had to hit mine with a hammer a little bit.
Always.
I got them to work.
Like it's not.
Got them to work and stuff. That was 08. I'm pretty sure that's when, for me, that was like 08. But like, yeah, man, that program, I still use that program to this day to design stuff.
Do you really? Is it still a thing?
I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I still use it because I'm so familiar with it. Like anything, even if I'm doing, like, I make all handmade stuff, but I design it all on eMachine Shop first. You know,
you have your fucking plan.
Yeah. So like, I know exactly where to drop every end mill when I'm like cutting. Like I just like, I don't know, I just make like I just plot it out and stuff. But that's awesome that like you like you said, you don't want to be the napkin guy. So
no. So trying to control much of the process without actually running a mill. Like I don't know how to make a tool path. I don't ever want to know how to fucking run a mill. Like that's not where my expertise is going to be best used. Like I'm in the design process, and then in the building and the application process, but certainly not that running the mill. So that's been a little bit difficult because, again, lead times. I got to find somebody to make the shit. If I can't hand fabricate, I hand fabricate a lot of my own prototype though, and that's fun, especially now with the 3D printers, man. Dude, the 3D printing is fucking cool. I really tried to not get into it as long as possible, and Eric Carlson's fault got me into it, and now I'm just like, that's all I want to do is like sculpt and print and cast and fuck that. But in regards to tattoo machines, though, like I can make all kinds of shit to really visualize it and put it together to make sure that it works the way I want it to before producing it in steel, iron, brass, whatever. So that has a ton. So it's allowed for like the mechanism in the Lovebird. Like I tried a bunch of different ways that didn't work before I was able to finally come up with that. And that's because I'm able to use CAD and 3D print shit now.
Yeah. There's like something about like not succeeding that I don't like.
I fucking hate it. I hate
Yeah,
it.
like
I hate it.
I don't think I've ever considered myself an overachiever, but like ever. Like,
Yeah, but you don't want to get your ass kicked either, man. You know.
nah, I want to fucking win, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the whole thing. I think a lot of tattoo machine builders are the same way. At least like the for real builders, dude. Like, you know, whatever, man. Like we all understand that like we're fucking crazy. That's the number one thing. And to like make us less crazy, we have to win. We have to like make that part or make that thing or make it work. And then it works. And then we're just immediately on to the next thing that's going to just drive us nuts. Like, you know.
So Rich is joining us. I think he has to click some buttons, maybe, or currently there's no mic and the video's off. I just asked him to turn on the video. Rich, if you might need to, if it could just be like getting set up. Otherwise, if you leave the meeting and then come back, and when it asks you about sound, just click the other button. But so I'll work with him in the background to get that to work. Cheers.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all. Rich, if you might need to, if it could just be like getting set up. Otherwise, if you leave the meeting and come back, and when it asks you about sound.
Hello.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
How are you?
Good, good.
Oh,
Thanks for calling in.
Wow. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you could turn your phone sideways, that'd be
There we go.
fantastic. I'm out. Cheers.
There we
long
go.
time listener, first time caller.
What's going on?
Not much, man. How's it going?
Good. Good. Talking to these fools.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I get everybody on here?
You got to click
You
the view thing.
Oh,
up
there
there.
we go.
Oh, you're on your phone. I don't know.
Yeah, let me see if I. Yeah, I don't have.
if you swipe to the left or to the
I'm
right, you
stuck
will
home
see
with
the different versions.
COVID.
Are you really?
Yeah, got it a couple days ago. You know,
First
holiday
time?
shit. You know.
First time?
Yeah, yeah. But it wasn't too bad, but. All right, I think I'm.
Where'd he go? Oh, there you are.
Hey.
All right, I think I'm good now. Sorry.
How do SOBA and Rich, how do you guys know each other? Like, how are you acquainted?
I mean, forever, I've always just looked at SOBA as like, I've actually called him it before, Michael Jordan.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I've followed him since I started tattooing in 2001. I met him at the meeting in the Mark in 2001 and got a Rusto from him.
Nice.
And I still remember that machine to this
Shout out
day, number 92.
Nice. Fuck yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was all black with the paint cans.
Oh yeah, the
foils.
crown cans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
OGs.
Yeah, that was the shit. That
Yeah.
machine, that was like my favorite machine forever. But yeah,
And then I know there's a few dudes in town that use his stuff like exclusively. And so I started following him a few years ago. And then I know I don't go to conventions very often, but I did hang out with you at, I think it was Hell City a little
yeah,
bit.
Hell City in Arizona.
Yeah. Was it Arizona? The Phoenix one? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
When they had the fight night.
yeah, and I think I was. Yeah. That was the night of the McGregor.
No.
Was that McGregor? God damn it!
No, it was fucking. I don't know the names. It was the Mayweather fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I was there with Annie Frenzel.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a dead ass show because of that fucking fight. But
Yeah.
the dude in the booth next to us brought in a big ass flat screen and hung it on the back of their booth. And so during the fight, like the whole convention came
Right. Yeah.
stood right in front of my booth to watch the fight, and I still didn't sell anything. So
Yeah. That was a dead show for
That was a
sales. I'll
dead
tell you
show.
that. But it was
It was
definitely
fun,
a
though.
good time though.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was a good time. See, that's why I'm excited to come to Rubber City too, man. Like that, just that, you don't have to just grind so hard all weekend. You can kind of kick it and, you know, take a teach a seminar. Do a few
Rubber City last year was such a great time. Tony and his wife Elizabeth put on an amazing show. I mean, their production quality is top of the line. Attention to detail with their stuff is just great.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, we definitely try to make it fun. Like, there's so many shows, it's the atmosphere is just so fucking heavy, dude. Like,
yeah.
Everybody's like, it's supposed to be fun, I think. You know, we're supposed to have a good time. And be
you need it. I mean, we grind so hard.
And that's what's missing, honestly. You know, like where everybody's working, like, work, grind, but ain't shit fun no more. And that's not good.
Yeah.
Last
it's a good balance for everybody, I think.
The AC Atlantic City Tattoo Convention.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Henderson. That Saturday I tattooed 12 hours straight. Like,
that's awesome.
What the fuck am I doing?
Well, I mean, you know, tattooing, that's what you're there to do, you know. And
oh my God, man.
You gotta balance it out.
I don't think I've tattooed 12 hours straight for many years. But it was crazy.
I go to tattoo conventions to relax and learn and have fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I try not to work. I work so hard all week, dude. I like to go shake hands and say hi and eat good food and make people laugh.
Spend too much on beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, BJ, we do a show. It's called Machines, Magnetism, and Mimosas on Sunday at the show.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's interesting. It goes pretty
brilliant.
I don't drink, but I did. I drank champagne, and my lips didn't work.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This whole power path kind of like this. I had to leave at one point. I'm like, I gotta go get it together here.
Oh, man, that's great.
I'll have to get you in on that one.
Hell yeah. I'm down for that. I like some mimosas.
It's funny, man. I think it's on here somewhere. I'm too embarrassed to watch it.
Right. Yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So you brought up that you and Helton might do something at the show.
He had mentioned something about like a group seminar kind of thing. I don't know what exactly.
I mean, I haven't brainstormed too much about it, but I mean, my idea was the last year when I did the seminar. I mean, everybody knows when you do a seminar, it kind of consumes the day of the seminar for sure.
Yeah.
And it's so much work on the builder that it almost makes it not fun. It makes it more of a job or work, you know? And I was just thinking of something, maybe taking, I don't know, maybe all the machine builders that come, everybody pick like a certain subject during the seminar and they handle that part and they're done. They go in, they do that part and they leave. Or
that'd be cool.
You know, there's something that make it more, I don't know, less work, just more kind of, you know,
for the teacher. Yeah.
Like, you know, like me, I have like a crazy obsession about spring cutting. And when I did my seminar, I think I spent almost an hour on spring cutting, you know, and then I look where we're at in time. I mean, Tony, what'd we run over? Like 3 hours? And then I just didn't want that to happen again. And
they always go over.
Yeah, they all go over. When I did mine, there were 4 hours, and then with the questions afterwards, it was another hour, easy. And then even after that, people were tailing you out on the floor and sitting at your booth for hours on end.
Right.
It's a whole thing, you know. It's definitely a whole thing.
I mean, I just like the aspect of even like that part, like at the end of the seminar, if someone comes up to you and like say you just did coil winding, you know, and someone can walk up to you and have a question strictly about coil winding. You guys talk for 15, 20 minutes about coil winding. And, you know, it's just less of a task kind of, you know, and kind of you're able to enjoy it more and you're able to, you know, kind of, you know, feed off each other to create a little bit of knowledge for people that don't have any ideas about coil machines, because I feel like that's one of the biggest problems we have is people are intimidated about coil machines, and there's going right to these pens. I mean, the pens are great. I mean, they have a purpose, but I don't know. I love coil machines, and I feel like being able to provide a little bit of education to people that are very intimidated by it, I think, is where the industry needs to kind of go.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of them are getting a lot more curious about it too. Because there's a huge part of this industry that came in never fucking touching a coil machine, and they don't.
Yeah.
And some of them care, some of them wonder, some of them, want to know about it. It is a huge part of fucking tattooing history. Not all of it, obviously, but a fucking huge part of it. And they do need to be like, if somebody's curious about it, they need to have someone to ask about. And
right,
where do you go for that?
Right, and it's very intimidating to a lot of these younger kids to ask about coil machines, because there's like a stigmatism that we don't share, and where I do feel that's good to a point, but I feel like it's backfiring over the years,
Yeah.
One thing I say about pens is other they might function well and do their job, but they're never going to replace coil machines as far as their artistic quality.
No.
Like, all the work there's, it's not enough to like know exactly how a coil machine has to function to puncture the dermis to inject pigment into it.
Right.
You have to understand the basic functions of a liner and a shader to get it to work. But the whole other aspect of it that I find, fascinating, and this is why I cannot stop making them, is like making them fucking look cool.
Yes.
Coming finish different shapes. There's 101 different ways to like make electricity happen throughout that basic doorbell, like binding post setups, tube vice setups, different geometries to get different speeds and different different strokes and stuff like that. But no, I can't really foresee it happening where there's like a really sick pen builder who makes a one-off pen. With anything other than like a
It's a good ass idea though, isn't it? See,
I guess it's a good idea.
Pens.
But it's like who's going to do it though? They're not made, to my knowledge. It seems like those things are probably made by a company and not just like a guy. Like you're not going to get
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like you're not like, I don't know. Like it's not like you're getting a Paul Rogers pen. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Anybody winding DC motor coils, like making the fucking motors,
Like you're not going to get a handmade pen, and if you did, it would kind of defeat the purpose of like the pen's, actual existence. Because they're only supposed to function a certain way, and they're supposed to perform a certain way, but they don't look fucking cool. I don't know. And I'm not against them at all. Like, I don't care what you use. It doesn't matter to me. It just seems to me like that's like one thing. Like, I don't know. People like really cool looking sneakers, and you could just wear fucking Vans, and they serve a certain purpose and they function. But like you could go get like somebody to make you like custom fucking Vans, or you can get somebody to make you custom Jordans or Air Max 90s or whatever.
Again, it depends on what your desired end result is and what your focus. You obviously hold the craft of the machine at a very high value. Based on your experience, and can't nobody replace that or teach that or take it away. And the kids that don't have it. It wasn't what their experience, So then, we do need to.
I'm not saying any of it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's like they just. I don't know, man. It's like
nobody gives a fuck about handwriting a letter anymore. A few people do, but most people just fucking type, right? Same thing. Like I really like fountain pens, and I actually got a letter from Nate Godfrey, who fucking on an antique typewriter typed that shit up. That like. It means more now because so a coil machine might have more value now because of all the fucking pens, all the factory made rotaries. Now these are going to be way more romantic, way more valuable. And fewer people use them, fewer people making them. You know, it's going to become way more collectible and again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a mechanical endeavor in like making a coil machine, but there's also an artistic endeavor.
Yeah.
You know, that's where those two fields melt together. And that's like there's like I guess like there's like no romance behind a pen. There's like no romantic quality.
Yeah, no, it's a tool. It's like just like typing. You're just getting a job done. It's just a tool to get the job done.
Like I have, like I don't know, I don't have a lot of tattoo machines that like I don't collect a lot of them, but I have an Aaron Kane. I have a Grime Graffiti G, number 139 from 2002, and that thing is fucking beautiful. It's you know, like it was beautifully cast. It ran beautifully. I tattooed the shit out of people with that thing. I'm never going to get rid of it. You know, it's not just something I'm going to throw away. You know, and then if you know,
Did you cast that SOBA?
Huh?
Did you cast that frame?
I did not. That was all investment cast. That was all on Aaron. Yeah, he was doing all that shit.
It was Aaron. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't do any investment cast. Was a motherfucker, and we did not do any production investment casting.
Yeah.
So no, I only did that for my own, like the Phantoms, but they were so difficult to get out of the foundry. I didn't.
Yeah.
That's why there's not very many of those Phantoms.
Yeah, but one of those things is probably like, you know, probably worth like a bunch of money, you know, because they're sought after. They're not just like something. They're not. You might have made like 200 of them, but like at the rate that they're making these pens or something like that, it's like they're not going to hold any kind of value because they're just like there's so fucking many of them and they all look the same. Like, you know, like there's no like artistic value. I just like don't see it, you know. And I mean, that's no reason to fucking buy. That's the reason not to buy one. Like, I don't, you know, who cares? But I just like those two things, the mechanical aspect and the artistic aspect are, I think, the thing that keep me adhering to building tattoo machines. You know? And if you look down, you know, let's look back in the time machine at all the stuff that BJ has done and how, like, you know, like you have taken an approach to tattoo machine building that if you say you came from graffiti, you can definitely tell. Like you can for sure see that your hand moves a certain way, you know. And like I was telling you before, like, you know how letters have a different stance, like a K looks a certain way, T's look a certain way, like S's look a certain way. Like your machines, your frames, your style has a stance like that.
Machine takes on a personality of the builder.
Yeah, it stands up a little bit, but like, you know what I mean? And like when you see it like over the years, Seth stuff, like look, dude, like what fucking 7-8 years ago, dude was making the wackiest shit, like crazy, and it was so sick, but it was like nobody else was making this wacky shit, you know. Maybe his stuff's a little more subdued now.
Oh, all of the I see what you're saying, what you're talking about when he was doing all the found objects and shit like that, like
just like I mean, like look at Tony's stuff. Like it's like, you know, the steampunk looking stuff. Everybody had their own style. Like, you know, like everybody has a style, or at least the style that they like that rubbed off on them or something. But like the pens, it's like that doesn't exist. It's like a thing that doesn't exist in that world, you know. And it's a thing that like I don't even think anyone's really concerned with. Except for
sterility and its artistic impression.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
it's cool.
Just based off that alone, like is like it's just weird to like see a tattoo machine that's just like, you know, like, oh, what do you got? Oh, well, I got this fucking Todd Evans fucking heavy ass brass fucking machine, you know, that was passed down to me by my mentor. You know, that was like lost wax cast and like, you know, the whole process of how it was made and, you know what I mean? Shit like that. Like, you know, you got people collecting fucking Paul Rogers machines. They're probably $5,000 a piece and they got 20 of them. Like, you know what I mean? Is anybody going to have 20 fucking pens? You know? from
Oh, God.
whoever the fuck made it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this guy, it wasn't a guy that made it. It wasn't like a, you know, you're not going to hang it on the wall. It's just like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't even know what I'm saying. It's just
like a big light. It does
Like,
it. It's a tool. It does its job.
Yeah.
There's that artistic disconnect. I agree, but I mean, it's you're talking about apples and oranges in two different schools.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not the same. It's just
Our generation just grew up in a different light with coils, and that's what we did. Although rotaries aren't a new concept,
No.
the way they were brought into the market and the way they're being utilized.
They're
but
marketed.
like the rotaries, there's like still like there's still like a bit of an artistic endeavor in making those like look
Right.
cool. You know,
Oh, there's so much room. There's so much room. Yeah. There's so much room to take any mechanism and make it a fucking cool ass usable tattoo machine. Yeah, there's no reason why the pens can't look sweet, but they don't, because that's not what they're trying to do. You know, like
yeah, they're not going.
came into it. You were, you know, rotaries were shameful, wrongly, but like you have these stigmas when you come into it. Like they like don't tattoo a Taz. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, because that's cheap or whatever. Like, I'll tattoo the fuck out of a Taz. You know, like who's the fuck? But the rotary had that stigma. Like no, it wasn't. So it wasn't, and they weren't really an option for tattooers that came on in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, it wasn't a thing. They didn't come back to being that thing until later, when maybe some of that stigma wore off, because there was an influx of new people that didn't have that impression, you know. And now like these things are fucking mind-blowing, you know, what people are doing with the rotaries.
Yeah.
We just got the 5-minute heads up from Gabe.
Oh, all right. Oh, and we were just gonna start talking shit about rotaries too. Damn.
Nah, no,
Well, there's always part two.
nobody's talking shit.
Always
Like,
part
I get
of
so fucking bent out of
You
shape.
use whatever you want. Like,
Hell yeah.
it's your tools. Like, it's your world. Like, you know, do whatever you like. I'm just, you know, to me, it's just like, I just always feel like there has to be some artistic kind of take on whatever you're doing. Because it's like,
I absolutely agree with that. And anything that we do, we're making our livings from being an artist, because we don't want to do anything else other than be creative and make art. You know, that's just,
right.
that's how we're fucking geared, wired, and that's what we continue to do. And I love to see the longevity of this going, you know. And I wanted to just thank all of you guys for having me on this podcast today and blowing all that smoke up my ass. It's been a really long time since anybody's done it, so I really enjoyed it. Felt nice.
well
No,
deserved.
I do look forward to some more camaraderie and the shit that we're gonna do at Rubber City. You know, and then I think what you guys are doing here, it's kind of keeping that flame, stoking that fire, getting more people interested in what goes into these things that we have dedicated our fucking lives to, you know.
I guess it's kind of sort of the modern Reed Street right here.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like, but it's just that it's so easy to communicate now, you know. It's wild. Yeah. So it's
I didn't get on Reed Street. I wasn't allowed.
Yeah,
I was right there with you.
Shit was wild.
They're
Shit
like,
was
"No,
wild.
you can't put this fucking guy on there. Fuck that."
I was a minor league builder then. They wouldn't let me in either. Still a minor league builder.
It became such a fucking pissing contest. You know, it really got out of hand, which is why it eventually, you know, fell apart. But you know, what are you gonna do? It was literally a forum. It was a new way for people to communicate, and you got all these fucking keyboard gangsters. Like, nobody's scared sitting behind their computer, so the motherfuckers start saying whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
And it got a little wild, you know. So I'm not sorry to see it go. I was really appreciative of that forum, that ability, that way that we were able to. I learned a lot, you know. I got to help a lot of people. A lot of people helped me. Fucking was a wonderful thing. So now, yeah, I think this type of idea can continue through that.
Yeah, that's what's up.
There has to be an archive.
No, you don't want that.
There has to be something.
Well, nobody want that shit. Don't dig that shit up, man. No.
I know when you.
Those
when
were
you
the AOL days,
dig up the past.
dial-up days.
Yeah.
Like it's gotta be out there somewhere. Like
Yeah.
somewhere, somebody's got every little forum, like
I
every
know.
little thread.
What was that tattoo platform we were on, Greg, back in the day? Ink
Oh,
Nation.
Ink Nation.
Ink
Remember that
Nation.
shit, Beach? Ink
That was
Nation.
like the poor man's. It was like poor man's Reed Street.
Yeah.
It was like Reed Street B Team, dude. That's what it was. It was like B Team Reed Street. That's what I was a part of that. Still good, you know.
Tattoodles.
Very much the same thing. Like,
Well, yeah, Tattoodles took over the Reed Street. That's who's got all that shit now, if you want to know.
yeah,
Adam Sky.
Adam Sky. Yeah.
Mm.
I tried to get on it.
There was Tattoo Now also, just saying.
Was that?
There was another site, Tattoo Now. It existed, back then.
It was a real thing. I think I remember a CD with a magazine.
But hey, yeah, that's from we were mentioning Crash. I was psyched. I tried not to jump in. We were talking about Crash in the Tattoo Artist magazine. That was awesome. I remember the first. That's how I got introduced to Adrian Lee's work, and at that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to stop getting any more tattoos. I'm going to finish off everything that I have, and then I'll work on everything else at once. And about a month and a half ago, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm almost 50, which means if it takes 5 or 10 years to finish off my bodysuit, like now's the time that I was waiting for. So time to everyone. It's time for us all to finish off the bodysuits, right? Because we're not getting any younger. Point is, though, time's running out. I have to hit up the business Zoom next. So this is awesome. And Sever, to your point about the road, like there's always part 2. You want to leave the audience wanting more. So
yeah, well, I'll come back.
Part 2.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. For
we
sure.
can do a full rotary versus coil machines and make the search engines go crazy. I'm completely fucking around.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the Machine Olympics. We got a lot more stuff to talk about. So
That's gonna be fucking cool.
We could do part 2 next month if you want.
Cool. I'm ready.
Well, hey, we'll catch up offline, and I'll talk to you all in the future. Thanks again. That was amazing.
Thanks, everybody.